Republicans, Ms. Perryman, pretend to care about law and order, but this provision is the exact opposite. What message does this send to people who count on the courts to protect their rights?
It suggests that the people that voted for the bill don't want the American people protected and that they don't want them to access their courts and access the ability to protect their rights.
Don't want the American people protected, that part. Allegedly all in the name of law and order and safety. This is about nothing but power and control and abuse of power and terror, which makes everyone less safe. The shame and the sham of it all.
Congress held a hearing where the Republicans called up a few Democratic governors to answer questions about immigration, especially in states that have so-called sanctuary policies. And let me tell you, it wasn't about finding real solutions. It felt like they were more focused on creating a viral moment than actually fixing anything. Now, I want y'all to see this part from Representative Jim Jordan. He comes in hot, calling out Governor Hochul from New York. But watch closely. Instead of letting her explain, he keeps cutting her off, turning it into a gotcha moment. And listen, what he says about this one case, yeah, it's terrible, no doubt, but watch how he uses that one situation to try to drag the whole state and all sanctuary policies. This is the kind of stuff that gets people emotional without giving the full picture.
Governor Hochul, third paragraph, second sentence in your written testimony, you said New York State cooperates with U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement in criminal cases. Governor, who's Jesus Romero Hernandez?
Thank you. I want to reaffirm that we do cooperate in cases where...
That wasn't the question. I just read your statement. I can read your statement. Who is Jesus Romero Hernandez?
I don't have the details on every single person in a state of 20 million people.
I understand, but this guy's a citizen of Mexico, deported 7 times, came to your state, assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, then when he was in custody, assaulted a corrections officer. ICE finds out this guy is in your state's custody, and they send you a detainer. You're familiar with a detainer, right?
Yes, I am.
Notice of action, immigration detainer to Tompkins County Jail from Syracuse Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Section 1, they check a couple boxes. The first one they check is a final order of removal against the alien has taken place. That means a court has said this guy needs to go. This machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy needs to go. Then they also check another box and they say biometric confirmation of who this individual is, this alien's identity. So they got the right guy, and a court has said he needs to go. Any idea what Tompkins County Jail decided to do with that detainer order?
I will tell you this, the state of...
it's a specific question.
Well,
what did Tompkins County do?
The descriptions you have put forth are absolutely chilling and disturbing and reprehensible to all of us. My job is to protect the people of New York.
Which is why I'm asking the question. What did Tompkins County do?
What I have responsibility for,
I will tell you, since you're not going to answer, we cannot and will not hold Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah.
We can't keep the machete guy who had choked a police officer and assaulted a corrections officer. We can't keep him. In fact, we have the back and forth from Tompkins County and ICE on January 28th of this year, 8:56 p.m. Tompkins County tells ICE, we're not going to hold this guy. 7 minutes later, ICE responds back, we will be there to take custody this evening. 24 minutes later, Thompson County reiterates, we're not going to have him. We're not going to turn him over. 10:45. ICE arrives at the jail. 1 hour and 18 minutes later, and guess what? Mr. Hernandez is not there. They couldn't wait 1 hour and 18 minutes for a guy who assaulted one of your residents with a machete, choked a police officer, and then when in custody, assaulted corrections officers. That is sanctuary policy in a nutshell, and that is what your state supports, and so do these other governors. That is what is so wrong, why the American people hate this concept.
You're conflating what the state of New York does is I control state police and prisons. We have turned over 1,300 people.
So you disagree with it?
We turn over 1,300 people. Did the sheriff make the wrong call? Those are local policies that we would not have done in the state of New York. State of New York, that is a local decision. So you're saying the sheriff's wrong? I would say this, if it happened in a state prison, we have already turned over 1,300 people.
Sheriff in Tompkins County, a Democrat or Republican, Governor?
There have been times, excuse me.
The sheriff in Thompson County, a Democrat or Republican?
Excuse me. There have been times.
I ask the questions, you give the answers. Is he a Democrat or Republican?
For a second.
You know?
I'm asking for this moment to explain that I'm sometimes waiting for ICE
is he a
to come
Democrat
pick
or
up
Republican,
people.
and do you agree with the
I believe
actions
he's a
he took?
Democrat.
Do you agree with the actions he took? How about that question?
They are in conflict with what the state of New York would do.
Well, maybe they're scared. By the way, he is a Democrat sheriff. Maybe the county guys are a little scared because you said this. I'm quoting from, it looks like the New York Times. We all know you can trust them. This is last month, May 25th. You said we have some counties that are renegade counties and work with ICE. Maybe they're nervous of being called a renegade county by their governor. So the Democrat sheriff says, we're not going to keep the machete-wielding, cop-choking, corrections officer assaulting guy. We're not going to keep him here for you to get here. We can't even wait an hour and 18 minutes. Oh, you know what else was interesting in this case? You know what else was interesting? There was actually an arrest warrant from United States District Court, Northern District of New York, signed by Judge Wiley Danks, magistrate from Syracuse. There was an arrest warrant, and they still couldn't keep him.
The state of New York cooperates. We cooperate in removal of individuals who've served time. We responded to detention. You're confusing, and maybe there's a lesson in civics here that's necessary.
Will you say on the record right here, I got 12 seconds, will you say on the record, was Tompkins County wrong in the actions they took on January 25th, 2025, when they wouldn't hold the guy for 1 hour and 18 minutes?
Those are not the policies that we would have in the state of New York. Those are not the policies we would have in a
Were they wrong?
Because I've already
turned that guy over to ICE. It's a simple question, Governor.
That was a horrible situation. The person should not have been out there.
It's a horrible situation, but it's a yes or no question.
It is a response that this is a locality.
Do you agree or disagree?
In the state of New York, the person should have been held.
Yes or no?
The person should have been held, and in the state of New York, we would have turned him over. That is in conflict with what we would do as a state with respect to prison. And I want to know why ICE won't come and pick up the individuals who have served time in our state. I have cases where they have not even shown
Governor,
up.
a court order and a detainer for a guy who did the things Mr. Hernandez did, and Tompkins County can't hold him an hour and 18 minutes, and you won't say that's wrong?
I have said we cooperate when there's a criminal case where someone has committed a crime. We turn them over.
This is sanctuary policy in a nutshell. You won't even condemn something that anyone with common sense knows is ridiculous.
You're mischaracterizing the laws of the state
I had the facts here. Oh, can I do one other thing, Mr. Chairman? Now he's been rearrested, and guess what? This guy who's now been rearrested, there is imminent danger that this inmate will do injury to himself and to others and presents a threat to safety, security, and good order of the facility, so he's not permitted to leave his cell. So this guy is not even allowed out of his cell, but they let him out on the street a few months ago. That's how ridiculous this is.
When he does leave his cell, it'll be go back to his country under our orders for torture.
So after all that back and forth from Jim Jordan, I want y'all to hear something different, something that actually brings some real perspective to the table. Representative Kwesi Mfume, now he came with history, facts, and heart. And as a Black woman, what he said really hit me. Because when we talk about immigration and who deserves to be here, we gotta remember the way this country has treated our people too, and how that same fear and hate gets recycled through different communities.
Chairman, I've got 2 unanimous consent requests that I hope would not count against my time.
Okay, we won't.
Okay.
Clock stop.
I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record an article from Forbes magazine entitled Trump Team Focuses Deportations on Immigration Numbers, Not on Criminals.
Without objection, so ordered.
And an article from the Rolling Stone from the 6th of last month entitled Trump has now deported multiple U.S. citizen children with cancer.
Without objection, to order. That's a good diversity of sources.
It is. Rolling
Forbes
Stone
and Rolling Stone.
Yes.
I like that. All right. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A couple of things on the record and then some observations. I don't know that I necessarily have any questions, but I do have some observations and a statement. I think before we let this get out of control, everybody on this side of the aisle is against violence of all forms. Everybody on this side of the aisle finds that to be unacceptable. We believe that convicted criminals who are incidentally illegally here and have been convicted should have no safe harbor. And we believe that victims of criminals should have our collective prayers and empathy. So this is not about Democrats not having a balance or about Democrats supporting something that is not right. The other thing that I want to say is that I find something eerily chilling about what's going on here. And what's chilling about it is that if I take myself out of 2025 and roll myself back in time some of the hatred that I see displayed under the guise of good government just scares the hell out of me. We're not that far away from situations that existed where things like this affected other groups. And I'm not talking about anybody that's a convicted illegal criminal. I'm talking about innocent Americans who live in our neighborhoods, who do the work that we won't do, who abide by the laws, who play by the rules, who love their new country and who cherish their faith. Because if we just roll this clock on the wall back 75 years, we'd be looking at a time in Nazi Germany where people ran around with signs like this new ICE sign that says, report all foreign invaders to ICE, with Uncle Sam there holding up the sign. This could have been a Gestapo member 75 years ago, report all Jews. 100 years before that, it could be a plantation owner that said, report all Negroes and all coloreds and all those who are from Africa, because they are disrupting our country. So let's not get it twisted here. We in this country are not pure and pristine. We had runaway slave laws to get the people who ran away from slavery. We had 50 years of black codes where you got fines and you got rewards and you got all sorts of things if you did or did not do something to report black people. After 150 years of slavery and 100 years of segregation and 100 years of Jim Crow after that, you could be arrested for anything in this country not that long ago. I remember when the National Guard was deployed in 1968, and I walked out of my house facing fixed bayonets with men in uniform, not knowing what the hell they were there for, but obeying the chief executive officer of this country. And I know what it's like to face a bayonet and to face a National Guardsman. And I've seen the tension that it brought about and how that group of demonstrations across this country continue to go for days and days and days. And so don't give me something about, there's something about these people because they're immigrants. No, there's something about them because they're people, and like all groups, they've got bad people in them. I could have been arrested 75 years ago for walking into a restaurant, for drinking out of a water fountain, for being accused of looking at a white woman like Emmett Till did in 1955, and he was burned and lynched in this country. When future generations peer through the telescope of time, I hope that they look at us and realize that there are some who chose not to shirk their responsibility, not to run away from the reality and to face it head on. You know, not too long ago, I went to visit a proud lady who this year will celebrate her 149th anniversary. And she stands today, even as we sit in this hour. In her left hand is a great torch. And in her right hand, guess what? She clings the Declaration of Independence close to her breast. And on her head is a crown of spikes. And on her feet, broken shackles, symbolizing freedom from tyranny, the tyranny that so many immigrants faced before coming to this country. And as that plane flew over, I could still hear her cry out through silent, concrete lips, saying, "Send me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses who yearn to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore," she says. "Send those, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. For I left my lamp beside the golden door, that all of you and all of you and all of you might follow." And so we came. Some took the circuitous route, some came for a thrill, and some of us came against our will. But we came and became what we are today as a nation. And we must never lose sight of the things that make us great or the things that take away from our greatness.
Right after hearing something thoughtful and real from Representative Mfume, we go straight back into the fear tactics. This next part is from Representative Palmer. And listen, I want y'all to pay attention to how fast he jumps to words like terrorists, ISIS, and gangs, all while grilling these governors like they're personally harboring criminals in their basements. This is exactly what folks mean when they talk about dog whistle politics. He doesn't want due process. He wants yes or no answers, and he doesn't give these people room to speak. It's like he already made up his mind. And look, I'm not saying we ignore real threats. But when you start talking about MS-13 and ISIS in the same breath as sanctuary cities, without any real evidence, you're not helping. You're scaring people. And when you scare people, especially in America, it usually turns into more policing, more profiling, and more people of color getting hurt.
First of all, I want to point out that under Article 6 of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. With that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
you should
yes.
have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing. Considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? A yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we
Hochul.
arrest people.
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate when
Ma'am,
any
yes
crimes
or
are-
no?
We cooperate
You
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you. You're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Trinidad Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as Sur 13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killed, along with other drugs, killed over 100,000 people per year. We're no longer in a war on drugs. We're involved in a war with drugs. These are casualties. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objections ordered.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists. I mean, you cannot say 9/11 and not invoke credible emotion.
How do you know, Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for their presence.
We say they
How do
should
you
be vetted
know
at the
if they're
border.
not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know. You're not even looking into that.
You're pointing to an abject failure of the federal government to do its job to secure our borders.
What I'm pointing out here is that your sanctuary policies now constitute a threat to our national security.
We cooperate in all criminal investigations.
You are engaged
Always
in
have, always will.
operations against federal government attempts to enforce federal law that I think now constitutes a threat to our national security, and you're in violation of federal law.
That's 100% false.
And charges for obstruction should be brought against each one of you for doing this. I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chair,
Point of order. That was intimidation of the witness.
Do you have a point of inquiry?
Yes, I have a point of inquiry.
That's your point.
Raising the prospect of charges against witnesses is a form of intimidation, is it not? Thank you. Thank you, and I withdraw the question. I appreciate it.
Now, if you've been watching all this and thinking, why does it feel like a setup? You're not alone. Because Representative Jasmine Crockett came through and said what a lot of us were already feeling. She straight up called this hearing what it was: political theater. And let's be real, that's exactly what it felt like. All this talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, but no real accountability for how much money is being burned just to play the blame game on immigration. She even called out how quick they are to hold hearings when an immigrant commits a crime, but when it's white supremacists doing the killing, silence. No hearings for Buffalo, no hearings for Charleston, no hearings for El Paso, just selective outrage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you so much to our governors. And I want to say I apologize. I apologize for the abuse that you are facing in this committee that is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. And I also apologize for wasting your time, because this is nothing more than political theater. Now, again, this committee is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. We did not have to have this faux creation of Doge. The committee itself, that is our job. So what I want to talk about is something that the American people may want to know, which is economically, how is this impacting them? These failed immigration policies that are only put on so that they can have a show, because we have a reality show president who seemingly still believes that this is all about TV instead of real lives. So let me talk about something really quickly, because I want to clarify something, because I believe that all of you understand the importance of something like tourism. Are you aware, any of you, are you aware as to whether or not tourism in the United States is anticipated to decrease to the extent that we are estimated to lose $12.5 billion in international vendor spending in just the year 2025?
I can answer as the tourism capital of the country.
I assume you could.
Tourism is already down. It is down in the North Country, where the Canadians refuse to come over because of the hostility toward their country. It's happening in New York City. It's happening at our sporting events here, our theater. There's a ripple effect throughout our entire economy because of the change in attitude that our country, that once welcomed people from all over the world to visit and recreate and to live here, now feels like a very hostile place to them. It is going to have an economic impact on our bottom line, without a doubt.
So let's talk about it a little bit more. So I am supposed to have a number of FIFA games in Dallas, and I am fully anticipating that we are going to have a problem, because I've been receiving phone calls that people don't feel safe coming here, and it's not the immigrants. It's this government that is making them feel unsafe. But let me also do this, because they love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed. And if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers. And that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we going to have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists. But they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose, because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists, and so they don't want to talk about certain other things. But economically, I want to make sure that we're making this point again, because I know that Governor Pritzker, you were the beneficiary of a lot of things from the state of Texas. And a lot of people believe that Republicans are fiscally responsible, but instead they are actually fiscally irresponsible, because what he spent was a whopping $221 million transporting people from Texas to your state. Something tells me that he could have done something else with that $221 million. In addition to that, I know that there's been some conversations about what's going on in LA, and they want to say that it's riots because they didn't want people to keep talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever other drama was popping off between the president and his little friend. So they wanted to change the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our benefit. But let me tell you something. If they cared about making sure we were going to be fiscally responsible, they would tell the American people that it cost them $134 million to send the National Guard to LA for the quote unquote riots that the governor didn't ask for, nor did the mayor of LA ask for. And they sent them over there, and they say that they care about our service members, yet they sent them and they were laying on the floor. They did not provide for food. So I don't know why we would believe that, number one, they want to fix this. They don't want to fix this, because the brokenness is a feature, not a flaw of the system, because it is beneficial to them when it comes to campaigning. If they can't stoke fear, then why are they going to, say, have anybody vote for them? Because that's what people are doing. They're voting out of fear. But Ms. Perryman, we know each other a little well. And I know you got a law degree. And it seems like we all need law degrees in here nowadays to understand the Constitution. So really briefly, I just want to make this point. There is a certain person that was afforded, say, due process. But let's say if, say, Donald Trump had been charged with all of these cases that he got charged with in 4 different jurisdictions, if he wasn't afforded due process, there could have been a possibility that he just would have been locked up and thrown somewhere, right?
That would be a possibility.
And then maybe we wouldn't have a tariff war or anything else that we're dealing with or all the other nonsense. But the point is, he was afforded due process. And regardless of the political opposition, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, I thought, believe that due process should be afforded to everybody, even him.
Due process is for everyone.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment doesn't say that it's just for the people that are Americans?
It does not.
It says anybody on our soil?
It's for everyone.
Okay, it's pretty simple. I don't know why we are having issues, but I thank you and I will yield.
Now, of course, we couldn't get through this hearing without Marjorie Taylor Greene doing what she always does, turning it into a headline-grabbing moment. Instead of asking real questions, she went straight into party loyalty tests, then jumped to blaming sanctuary policies for every horrible crime she could pull out of the news. It's the same script every time. Stir up fear, skip the facts, and make it about Democrats being the enemy.
Governor Hochul, are you a Democrat? Yes or no?
I'm a proud registered Democrat, yes.
Did you support Joe Biden for president? Yes or no?
Yes, I did.
Did you support the Biden administration's policies for the past 4 years?
I raised my concerns in many meetings.
That's a yes
with
or no question.
About how the border was being enforced, and so I raised concerns.
So you just stated, I'll reclaim my time, you said you're a proud Democrat, you supported Joe Biden for president. Clearly you supported the Biden administration's policies. Did you swear, Governor Hochul, did you swear an oath to faithfully uphold New York's Constitution and laws?
I certainly did.
In 2017, New York became a sanctuary state when Governor Cuomo signed Executive Order 170. This states, it directs that no state officers or employees, including law enforcement officers, shall disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement unless required by the law. Do you support this law as governor of New York?
Yes, this pertains to civil enforcement.
So you do enforce sanctuary policies of New York?
I helping law enforcement and ICE when it comes to.
Thank you. I reclaim my time. You support sanctuary policies that have led to the horrific murder of people, Americans. This Fox News got it wrong. It should say monster. Arrested in broad daylight rape of a 13-year-old. In a New York park. This girl was raped at knife point in the park near New York Mets Stadium. That's your state, Governor Hochul. New York Post also got it wrong and called him a migrant. That's a monster. Busted in brutal beating of New York PD cops in Times Square are members of bloodthirsty Trinde Aragua gangs. That's your state where you support your sanctuary state laws. Also, Governor Hochul, do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Where a homeless woman was burned alive by an illegal alien monster, where you uphold the laws to protect these monsters in your state, and then you force the New York citizens that pay taxes to pay for these people. This is the result of your sick and disgusting treasonous laws that you uphold as governor.
New York is not a
I
sanctuary
didn't
state for
recognize you, Ms.
criminals.
Hochul. This is my time. Do you know the name Laken Riley? Do you know the name Laken Riley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Jose Ibarra murdered 22-year-old Laken Riley. He's an illegal alien monster from Venezuela, convicted of 10 charges. He was first arrested by the Biden administration that you stated that you support. Joe Biden for president, right? Proud Democrat, Governor Hochul. First arrested at the border and released by the Democrats that you support. Then, guess what? He made it to New York because the Biden administration flew illegals all over the country, and your state was one that accepted them. He lived at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Queens, an upscale hotel that was turned into an illegal alien shelter at the taxpayers' expense. $2 million a month went to this hotel. The second time he was arrested was in the state of New York for endangering a child. But he was released quickly before ICE could even issue a detainer, because you support those laws, Governor Hochul. Then he flew, get this is shocking. He flew from the state of New York to my home state in Georgia, and you all paid for it. Because, why? Because it was reticketing, and that was the little gift that you were giving my state by sending monsters there. Costs the state of New York $5 to $10 million a day to feed and house illegals. Are you smiling at me about this?
No, I'm not.
You look like you got quite a smile on your face.
No.
Because I can tell you,
Gentlelady
people,
will not.
This is my time, reclaiming my
order.
time.
I'm thinking about
attack the
parents.
witness.
Don't you dare
Don't attack the
smile
witness.
about the murder
order.
of
No, I'm
Laken
thinking about
Riley.
her parents.
The third
Don't
time,
question
the
how I
third
look.
time, Jose
My heart
Ibarra,
is breaking for her
my
parents.
time, Governor Hochul. The third time he was arrested was in the sanctuary city of Athens, another Democrat policy. And then he went on and attempted to rape Laken Riley and murdered her. He murdered her. Let me explain something to you. This little girl right here, she would be alive today if you weren't such a treasonous governor supporting sanctuary laws in the state of New York. This little girl would be alive today, and her mother very much would like for her to be alive. This is outrageous for anybody in this country to support for non-citizens to be able to come in our country, be able to travel wherever they want, and then make taxpayers pay to house them, feed them, and then give them a plane ticket after they had been arrested in their state. That's what you did. You are responsible for the murder of this little girl, Laken Riley. And the Department of Justice should prosecute you for her murder.
Objection. Objection.
I don't care how much you object, and if you
Objection.
support it too,
Objection.
you're
All right.
responsible for her murder.
right.
I yield,
Gentlelady,
Mr. Chairman.
On a point of order.
Gentlelady.
On a point of order.
Gentlelady's time's
On a point of
expired.
order.
State your point.
Mr. Chairman, these witnesses have been here for over 4 hours. They've all voluntarily have been engaging with our members with respect. They've all treated our members with respect.
Laken Riley
Our rules
is
of
dead
decorum-
forever.
Our rules
Forever.
of decorum.
Forever.
Our
They
rules
can
of
sit
decorum
there all
reclaiming
day.
my time.
Hold on.
Reclaiming
No,
my
wait,
time.
state your point.
I'm
State your-
trying to.
State your
Let
point.
me- let me
No,
do without
it's a
interruption.
point of inquiry, not a
rules-
debate.
Our
You've had your
rules,
time.
our rules, if you would let me speak, our rules of decorum dictate that our witnesses should be treated with respect, and I ask you to enforce decorum and remind committee members to treat our witnesses with respect.
Our members are treating the witnesses with respect. This is not a courtroom. We engage with the witnesses, and I think everybody's acting within the realm. We haven't cried and screamed when you all are criticizing the current
Treason
president, even though that's in the
treason
rules,
and
not
breaking the
criticizing.
law and
All
how
right.
they look,
All right,
that's-
maybe
Mr. Chairman.
if you win the chairmanship, if you all flip the House, you win the chairmanship, then you can do what Ms. Crockett says she's going to do and try to impeach Trump again or whatever you're all.
Mr. Chairman, is there any chance you would yield me 30 seconds to just respond that we are heartbroken what happened to her family? Lincoln Riley should be alive today. And I'm so sorry for what happened to her. I truly am what happened. But this has nothing to do with our civil enforcement of the laws. We are always cooperating with criminal investigations, always have, always will. So misstating our policies is not serving the purpose of making sure we have meaningful policies that'll actually move the dime. Why aren't we working together to come up with meaningful immigration reform, secure our borders, do vetting at the border? We're simply asking.
We're going to go back. Okay, Governor, with all due respect, there was no the policy of the previous administration was an open border. It was an open border. You all supported that. Now you're saying we need.
Point of order.
You were saying you were. No, I mean, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, I will recognize you because I like you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
Here's the border was open, and you all said nothing. All right. Now you said we had to pass legislation. We didn't have to pass legislation. Donald Trump secured the border on the first day. Now, there's no question you all have been obstructing and criticizing and failing to work with this administration in trying to apprehend the criminal illegals. That's what this hearing's about. It's not about theater. It's about trying to get a consensus on working with this administration to deport the criminal illegals.
We do it every day of the week, Mr. Chairman.
All the people who are over here illegally, to deport the criminal illegals. So
Representative Ayanna Pressley came in strong and called this whole hearing exactly what it is, a waste of time and taxpayer money, and flipped the script by pointing out who's really breaking the law, Donald Trump and his crew. Instead of fear-mongering, she brought it back to the people actually hurting under these policies. Families, elders, even kids fighting to stay alive. That's the kind of truth that usually gets drowned out in all the noise.
Thank you. To our Democratic governors for being here today. This hearing is an utter and complete waste of your time. It is a waste of taxpayer dollars. Republicans have called you here alleging that you are circumventing federal law. You are not. But you know who is the poster child, who is violating federal law daily? The current occupant of the Oval Office, Donald J. Trump. To make matters worse, these hardworking governors had to leave their states to be here in a moment when their work is incredibly difficult. Because Donald J. Trump and his accomplices and co-conspirators, who, by the way, Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about your constituents, and he doesn't give a damn about you. He doesn't even respect the seat you hold, and Congress is a co-equal branch of government. But Donald Trump and his accomplices, many of whom are in this room, are hell-bent. What you want your legacy to be is that you're tearing food away from our babies and medical care from our elders. These Democratic governors have to stand in the gap and figure out how to stretch budgets and modify programs to keep their constituents fed and alive. Constituents like this precious little soul that I wish I didn't have to leave to come be here. Layla, who drew me this rainbow. A 5-year-old who lives with a rare liver disease, had a successful liver transplant at Boston Medical Center. Thank God. She is thriving today. But Layla will need immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of her life that are paid for by Medicaid. And without Medicaid, well, I shudder to think what might happen to Layla. But for sure, a family will at least go bankrupt trying to do everything to keep their baby alive. That's what these governors, that's the situation that they've been put in because you're a big ass, ugly bill. And if it comes to pass. And they're dealing with the fallout of this White House pulling federal grants recklessly. Grown men throwing temper tantrums. So again, let me be plain. The Trump administration is breaking the law, not these Democratic governors. Ms. Perryman, how many legal challenges is the Trump administration currently facing?
I believe there's over 300 right now.
And Ms. Perryman, can you explain how litigation like this has helped to shield and defend vulnerable communities?
Absolutely. Without our courts upholding the rule of law and upholding the rights of people, right now there could be federal funds frozen across the country that would endanger things like Head Start and Meals on Wheels and community safety programs, including community safety programs that help prosecutors and help law enforcement in states and communities across the country. The administration has terminated over $800 million in Office of Justice Program grants that we are having to challenge in court, and the list goes on and on and on.
Thank you, Ms. Perryman. Thank you for your good work. That's right, in case after case, the media might not want you to know, but we are winning. Trump tried to end birthright citizenship, blocked. He tried to shut down asylum, blocked. He tried to defund cities, blocked. And because we are winning in court, Republicans are trying to change the rules to rig the system. Tucked in the big ugly bill the Republicans voted for is a provision, Section 70302, titled Restriction on Enforcement, that would restrict the judiciary from enforcing court orders and holding government officials accountable. This is an intentional and deliberate attempt to undermine the court so that the Trump administration can break the law with impunity. Republicans, Ms. Perryman, pretend to care about law and order, but this provision is the exact opposite. What message does this send to people who count on the courts to protect their rights?
It suggests that the people that voted for the bill don't want the American people protected and that they don't want them to access their courts and access the ability to protect their rights.
Don't want the American people protected, that part. Allegedly all in the name of law and order and safety. This is about nothing but power and control and abuse of power and terror, which makes everyone less safe. The shame and the sham of it all. I yield back.